So it is called Persist, and the subtitle is In Praise of the Creative Spirit in a World Gone Mad with Commerce. I did start 30 years ago. When I was at Otis, I was Dean at Otis Art Institute, and at that time we were turning out our BFA and our MFA students, and we were teaching them to be professional. And you know, I understood where that came from. I understand that you need to be serious about your work. You need to take yourself seriously. And on the other hand, I had this sense that it was somewhat disingenuous to be teaching our students to be professional in a cultural environment in which, you know, maybe with luck, 5% of them were going to go out into a truly professional career. That is, for an artist at least, for the students we were churning out, what that involves getting a nice studio, making your art, finding a gallery to show in, having an exhibition, having people come in to see the show, writers to write about it, collectors to buy it, and eventually get your work into the museum, which is a lot. Thank you. Because it is kind of a fairy tale for the vast majority of artists. For writers too. I'm a writer, and you know, thank you for that nice introduction. I seem to be far more successful in my introduction than I feel in my own life. And I have been remarkably successful by standards of many. I've published novels, published a memoir, published books of poetry. I've done remarkably well, and I'm grateful for that. And at the same time, I know that to get a book published these days is extraordinarily hard. You know, you go through that process. I mean, for an artist, well, for a writer, it's finding the agent who finds the editor, the publisher, and gets the book out. It takes 2 years perhaps to get the book published, and then, you know, what publishers do for the most part is that they buy 100 books a year and throw them all up against the wall and see what sticks. Unless you happen to be Sarah Palin, you don't get much promotion.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
I'm not Sarah Palin. I must remember that line. So that's the origin of the book. I've been watching this happening in my own life and in the life of others. Many artists I know and love and respect. Many writers I know, love, and respect. Dealing with this extraordinary challenge of a cultural climate in which supply is enormously greater than demand, and where the obstacles to what we like to think of as success and what we're taught to believe in as success, where those obstacles are enormous. So this was billed as a reading, and I'm going to do some reading tonight. I don't usually do that, but I'm going to do some reading. And I'm going to interrupt myself often, I hope, because reading can get kind of boring. And I would like to invite you to interrupt me too. You know, just give me a yell. This is a book about the creative life. It's written with love, appreciation, compassion, and respect for those who dedicate themselves to the creative work they do. In good part, it's a book about what it takes for me, a writer, to keep doing what I do with passion, to encourage the creative spirit, and on the other, to reward its outcomes too often with indifference and neglect. I need to keep writing, just as others need to keep making art, singing, dancing, making music. And this book is about what it takes in such a world for the artist to persist. Through years of experience as a writer, teacher, art school dean, and sympathetic observer of the lives of many of my fellow artists, I have come to recognize that the huge majority of us will experience some measure of discouragement and rejection. We are nourished on dreams of success that most frequently prove to be a fantasy. That's simply the way things are. It's a particularly rough moment in history for the lesser-known artist and the lesser-known writer. The national economy is in crisis still, and like other small businesses, the art business is suffering. Art dealers are not scrambling over the latest hot young artists to come out of graduate school, as they once did. Publishers seem interested only in the already Sarah Palin. The work of musicians can be easily pirated and made instantly available to anyone who owns a cell phone, and so on and so forth. So, it was in this context that I wrote a word for the amateur. I was very conscious of the fact that the word amateur had been debased in our contemporary language. So a part of my concern was to revive something of the original meaning of a word I considered to have a certain historical nobility. Most eminent scientists of earlier centuries, think of Darwin, think of Newton, think of many others, as well as a good number of artists and writers, had been amateurs, lovers, really, in the original etymological sense. These were people dedicated with passionate altruism to the life of the mind or to their art, with no thought or prospect of financial reward. Professions, I argued in my essay, are for lawyers and doctors and the like, people who can realistically expect to earn a living by the fruits of their expertise. So that was